Okay, well, good evening, everyone. The time is 7:32 on, what is today's date? October 24th, Thursday, October 24th, 2024. I'm calling the Community Engagement Committee meeting to order. I'm Katie Filipchuk Howard. I'm the chair of the Village of Martin's Edition. I'm going to be your co-liaison along with Susan Faddig. Susan, did you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Glad you all could make it, even though I can't see you.
I'm going to turn you around here so you can see everybody, or maybe, I don't know.
I was going to suggest, if we can, that maybe we go around and introduce ourselves. Then she'll know
That's
who's here.
my next order of business, yes. Okay, yes, Susan. So Susan's going to serve as the other co-liaison. And Susan, I'm going to introduce, everyone's going to go around and introduce themselves. Maybe say what street you live on, or, a little bit about yourself, why you love the VMA, why you want to be on this committee. I'll just kick it off.
Yeah.
Give you some subjects to talk about. We'll start with you, David.
Sure. David Salter, Pisces. I live at 6609 Brookville with my wife and 2-year-old. We moved in 4 years ago, about 2 weeks before COVID shut everything down, and have loved living in BMA ever since.
Is it that way or that way?
It's that way.
That way.
Yeah, it's at the intersection of Brookville and Bradley.
Wait a minute. Okay, I live on Bradley
Oh, do
in
you?
Brookville. All right, we'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
I'm Susan Mitchell. I've been in the village 13 years on Bradley Lane, the dead end part of Bradley Lane, actually very near Susan.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I love the VMA because I love that you can walk to shops. I love this little area. My kids grew up here. They love just how safe and welcoming and all the events actually that this committee holds, or my kids love them. And we also moved here for the sledding hill in the park. Anyway, so I joined this committee. I actually came to a few meetings last year, which made me want to join officially the committee. My interests in terms of the committee are, one, I've just retired, so I would like to meet more people, whether it's through this meeting or through possibly considering some events that are about smaller, maybe events where people get to know each other in the community. I mean, I've lived here 13 years. I only know a few people on my street, and that's it. So it's like, how do we broaden our engagement?
Yep.
So that's something that's important to me. And I also would like to give back. We've taken advantage of all the events that have happened over the years.
Yeah,
It's nice to give something back.
that is nice to give back. I appreciate that. Thank you. And the hill is the place to be on a snow, the rare day
Yeah, I
to get
know.
off of school for snow. In the
In
morning.
fact,
This is one of our-
the last
It was legendary.
last snow day, it was my birthday in January, and my kids were in college, and I went sledding anyway by myself. My husband wouldn't even come with me.
So the challenge is always to see if you can sled all the way to Keith's house.
Now I know where he lives. I'll have to try
That's
that.
Good challenge.
And I'm Keith Allen.
Yes.
I've been in the village here probably longer than anybody. I live at 3403 Turner Lane, which is the last house on the left on Den Ed Turner, right on the park, white fence in front of my house. And over the years, I've helped a lot of kids that got hurt out on the park, or people come to my house because they got to go to the bathroom, especially the kids. I'm there to kind of, help everybody out. That's what I do best. And I'm also the weatherman.
I recognize your voice because I've been on a bunch of meetings and like you do the weather thing. Oh, okay, now I'm placing
This
it.
is
Okay.
him in the
Yeah.
flesh. This is-
I did for 30 years, I did the weather for Verizon. And now I do the weather in 26 cities across the country. And as we mentioned here earlier, I'm up and at 'em at like between 2:30 and 3 a.m. every day, 7 days a week. And I'm a big Commanders fan. Although I'll have to admit, I've only been wearing this recently. But I'm a huge fan. I used to have the old logo, the old Washington football team flag out there. So I'm gonna have to get a Commanders flag, but I'm here to make this community a much better place to live and a happier place and a fun place. And that's what we call ourselves, the Fun Committee.
Right.
So that's all you need to know for now. Thank you.
So, well, I don't know if we have any residents, but, do we? No?
Not yet.
Where's Mark?
So David, nice to meet you. I'm rejoining the committee for the second year. I joined last year. And it was my first time serving on any VMA committee. I've actually been in the village for 21 years now, close to 21 years, more than 21 years. I live on Shepherd,
Okay.
kind of in the middle of the road, and have enjoyed the slope for many years. I've enjoyed telling my kids to go out and enjoy the
Yeah.
slope while I stayed home and baked or wherever, or worked or wherever it was. And I joined the committee because my kids were older and I felt like it's time to give back a little bit. And also because, I think this is an opportunity to think about new ways for the village to engage. I think we have all of the traditional events that are very well attended, especially by families. But I don't think we have as many events for older residents. And when I say older, I just mean for residents to relate as adults.
Sure.
And so I wanted to think of new ways. I don't think we had as much time for that as perhaps, we could have last year. So maybe this year is an opportunity. I know we have the anniversary event coming up, so that's
Sure.
great. And then there are a few things on my mind that I really wish we would kickstart. We're overly due for getting the listserv started, and maybe that's something that this committee can do. It's been years and years and years that residents who have been working on it. I'm not sure if they've been able to make progress, but I think it'd be nice to have a positive place for people to interact and share information. So those are my 2 cents.
Great. Michael, do you want
Sure.
Talk.
I think everyone knows me, but I'm Michael. I'm the village manager. I'm here because I get paid to be here. But I'm the only person that gets paid to be here. Everyone else is volunteers. So I don't take that lightly. I think I've been saying the last year or so, I've been saying it takes a village. Because it really does take a village.
Thank you.
I can do so much to organize everything, but then it's on you all to take it and run with it. So I'm here to provide the administrative support, and whether the council passes the policy, approves anything, and then I'm the one that tries to implement it. So
Yeah.
Thank you all for your work this year. We're gonna have a really good year. Starting on this Sunday, when we have one of our big events happening. So
Absolutely.
I'm ready to update you all on that whenever you get to that point in the agenda.
Yeah, and I was just I'm gonna on to Susan next, but just a little about me. This is my second term. This is my second go round, just serving as a liaison to this committee, and I'm just kicking things off tonight. This is going to be your show, so you can set the schedule, the agenda. Susan and I are just here as your council liaisons to take anything you want to take back to the council, and then Michael is of course part of our wonderful team, our village staff. Basically, this first party and event is going to run itself thanks to Michael and Aaron. So that part is good, but that doesn't mean that we don't need your input and your help and everything for Sunday. So that's all I have to say about that. Susan, did you want to say any other remarks or?
Maybe just very quickly, I've actually been in the village since 1986. So I have a lot of experience with VMA and have been on the council since 2015, have served as liaison to the CEC almost since its inception, and think it's been a really great addition to the village. We've always had it, or for as long as I can recall, we've enjoyed a lot of the same events that we continue today. But with official committee support, things go much more easily. And with the excellent executive skills of Michael, things have gotten even smoother, I think, over the last few years. This event promises to be a great one, and I love the ideas that Yasmina and Susan are bringing to the committee, and look forward to adding new ways for residents to engage. I think that'll be exciting. So welcome, everyone, and now it's time to, I guess, elect officers is the next order of
Wait,
business.
have you gone to public comment yet?
Oh, well, public
Because I-
comments is second on the agenda. We could do that first, and then you all can elect your officers if you would like to. We can go ahead and do that first. Okay. Yes, this is public comment. So I'm still running things until somebody takes over. All right. Are there any public comments?
Yes, so I have a few.
Okay.
Just having been to 3 meetings last year, I wanted to propose a few things. One is, I know, can Susan hear okay? Yeah, I know that, at least for me, I'm a very busy calendar, even though I'm retired. And so having a set time ahead of time for the next year of when we're going to meet would be really helpful. I would like to propose every 2 months on a day that works for everybody. We'd have to figure that out. I know not everyone can attend every meeting, clearly. But I think that would be helpful to have that schedule. And then I don't know if you want to talk, you're going to talk about positions,
Mhm.
at the positions point. Okay, then I will leave it.
Second that.
It's very hard if you don't know ahead of time.
Yeah. So actually a question on the logistics or function of how this works. I mean, do we have a set budget at the beginning of the year for this stuff? Or do we compile a list of things we want to do during the year and say it's going to cost X dollars and then go to the council and say we need the money? And like, how does that part work?
The council passes a budget every year for the year. I don't have the figure in front of me, though I can pull it up for this year for the budget. But we've done kind of our big traditional events for years now, so we have a pretty good idea.
Okay.
And I manage all of the contracts and all the vendors.
Right.
So whatever you all do, I find vendors that can pull it off. So
What is our budget for the year? I'm kind of
I will
curious.
pull it up.
And then can I add to that? Because it's a really good question. I knew that regular events were paid for, but if we want to do something else, let's say a 40th anniversary event or a lantern event that doesn't, I don't know, whatever. How does that work?
Okay,
Like-
well, while he's pulling up the numbers, so yeah, so you're all the committee for FY 2025, which started July
July 1.
1st. And so the Independence Day celebration was one of those funny and gray areas because well, this year it actually fell in FY 2024, but we've had it fall right when we were starting our new, it's one of those gray areas. But yeah, the major events, the Independence celebration, the Halloween, the March La Ferme event, the movie nights, they've all been budgeted for FY 2025. And we did budget for the 40th, correct? We did.
We upped the budget by $6,500 this year.
Yeah.
So to bring the grand total to $55,000
Mhm.
for events.
Yeah.
And
But Susan, you can jump in, please, because Susan has been on the council longer and she's been on this liaison longer for the committee in terms of the budget for these events.
Well, in terms of the budget, if new events are added and the existing budget doesn't cover, we can always find a way to fund them. I mean, we will find a way to fund them if
Yeah.
they're popularly accepted and
Okay.
the council agrees that they should be added.
Right.
And last year, did we use right up to the budgeted amount, or was there any like
And
surplus?
last year there was less money and we did not use all of it. No,
Okay.
I actually think we did a budget adjustment and took some of the money and put it in other places that we went over. So
Budget doesn't seem to be our
And we didn't.
Budget shouldn't be an issue.
Budget,
Yeah.
lightly. Michael.
Oh, you haven't heard my ideas yet.
Yeah, but
Oh, you're all.
last year, we just didn't, we weren't, like, I don't think we, like, at least the committee didn't have like, okay, this is our budget for this event. And this, we never put together a budget
Like,
for
You
events.
needed
Like,
a.
Yeah.
Oh, but
Yeah.
I did.
you did, but we
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
Correct.
Which
yeah.
I kind of made, did we fail in our function by not doing it?
No.
No, I mean,
No,
at this
not at all.
point, we got it down to a pretty smooth run machine and we're using a lot of the same vendors. So it's really not that difficult. And I'm basing the budget number that I'm recommending to the council in the budget preparedness process. I go through and look at what we spent last year
Right.
and adjust for things. Like this year, last year, we ended up paying for 2 4th of July parties in the one in the one
Right,
fiscal
because of the way
year.
it felt,
Because
yeah.
the way they fell. And then
Yeah.
this year, they know they wanted to bump it up because we know we have, a 40th anniversary coming up in the
Mhm.
spring and want to do something for that. So, but it's flexible and we're not super worried about it. Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'll end where I started by saying I was curious because to your point, we have a lot of awesome events, but they all seem targeted towards kids, which again is great. But for the adults of the village, I think, maybe an adult set a wine tasting or work with LaFerme and do a souffle cooking class or something, right, for adults.
So then-
And then even things that probably don't cost us money, but that like drive engagement, like work with the Red Cross and do a blood drive, right? Like there are
These are
lots
all
of
the
things.
I'm interested.
Yeah, so I'd love to see like the calendar of events for the year, and then maybe we can, at least this meeting or the next, spitball some ideas that we can throw out or.
And
I'm wondering if we want,
Yeah.
if we're done, when we're done with the public comment,
yes,
before you get to electing, because
Yes.
I think it affects my proposal for positions,
okay,
if to know how many events we're trying to pull off, a little bit. I know
right.
I don't know if you want to switch it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense too. Yeah,
have on the agenda to talk about the schedule for this year.
yeah, okay,
I mean, you don't have to do it in reverse. It's
okay.
it's
Well,
just,
while he's getting some of those documents, let me see if there's some people I think have joined us.
good.
Okay, I think, well, there's Marty. Marty has her hand up. Marty, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I want to say thank you for the first meeting of this wonderful committee. It's a joy always to sit in on your meetings, and thank you for all you do. And that goes to Michael as well as to the council members and of course the committee members. My simple question is this: could the folks who are in the room please identify themselves? Because we on the Zoom can't see you and I don't know who's speaking. I recognize Yasmina's voice, but could you all just go around the room real quick and tell me who's there?
Sure. I mean, we did that when we started, but
I had trouble getting on Zoom initially.
David Solder.
Susan Mitchell?
Can the camera go to them so we can say hello?
Sorry, Marty, there's no camera.
There's no
This is
camera.
a call, there's no
Okay.
camera for this meeting.
So we've got David there. Hi, David. And I see Keith.
Moment.
Hi, Keith.
Hey, Marty.
Susan, so David and I are new to the committee,
Okay, hello, Susan.
although we've met.
Hi, Marty,
Yeah.
this is Yasmina.
Hi, Yasmina. And I like your ideas about the listserv, among other things. I've been working on that. And then I see Katie. Okay, thank you. It just makes me feel a little bit less out here in Zoom land.
Yeah.
And thank you. I think that I want to talk a little bit about the 40th, but we can do that after you do the elections and the other sort of internal stuff.
Hey, Marty.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we're gonna try and we're trying to figure out how we want to organize the agenda right now. So,
What makes sense to do?
yeah, so I think we'll try and proceed with the points on the agenda before we get to any discussion about actual events.
Sounds good to me. Go for it.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay, well then I think Marty was the only other resident. So I'm gonna kick it to you all. This is, since you have a quorum, you can decide your officers.
So
Yeah.
can you orient us? Are there
So-
any required officers? Or can we do whatever we want?
There's a chair of the committee. Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a chair. a vice chair and usually someone takes notes, a secretary, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So there's a chair. Who was the vice chair last time?
Yasmin, were you the vice chair?
We
last
didn't
year?
have a
You
vice
didn't have
chair.
vice chair. You can have a chair, a vice chair. I don't know if every committee is
And a secretary.
done
Okay.
that, yeah. And then the secretary role, some committees rotate it. So if someone's like, I'll take the notes this meeting, I don't want to take the notes every meeting, that's understandable. And then maybe you just rotate that role with other members of the committee.
Are those positions
Mhm.
set in our charter? Are they required positions?
Not in the charter, but there is,
Not for this committee.
yeah, I don't think it's detailed out in this committee's
Yeah.
charter, or in the village charter. But for standing committees, we just tend to follow the Robert's rules.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't stay in it doesn't say specifically how we're going to run committee meetings, then we just follow Robert's rules. So you do need a chair and you need a secretary, and the open meeting.
Sorry, what are Robert's rules?
I don't know either.
Parliamentary practice.
procedure, they're just like
Okay,
meeting 101.
Okay,
I'll
got
let
it.
you have a little book.
thank
I
you,
can get it
thank
for
you. That's very,
A lot. Maybe I want to make a copy. Maybe we can make copies of this.
It's on the
We have
website.
copies here. I don't.
It's in the website, and I sent it out in my meeting.
I want to print it then. I just put it on my bulletin board.
We're passing around the administrative calendar so people can look at the.
But
events
that's
that
okay.
we
I can do that later. I can take a-
These are Robert's rules. This is just meetings. They're just parliamentary procedure. That's just,
okay,
Yeah.
it's just.
it's
Okay.
just, yeah,
Yeah.
just for,
And then the
You can
other thing I
actually
would say is
find cheat sheets for Robert's
Yeah.
rules
they're right here. Yeah. Oh, cheat
that are
sheet, yes.
extremely handy if you ever need to conduct contentious meetings.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Not that we're expecting this. to be
Not that you will be, no, not
Right,
you people.
right. And then, and I know it's kind of all, like, say you're the fun committee, but then we're like, run a formal meeting. I know it's a blend. Your committee is more of a blend of everything, but it doesn't hurt to do the parliamentary procedure. It just
Yeah.
is like, it just keeps it orderly in line with the other committees and how we do things. But
Efficiency is a virtue.
yes.
I mean, I think the ethics committee is the standard for all of the committees because they function so efficiently. And I think CEC can attain that same status. Something to strive for.
Yeah.
The only reason for which I asked,
Yes.
for full transparency, is I think one of the things which is we were a really fun committee last year,
Sure.
and the backbone of our committee and the engine of our committee were Michael and Aaron in terms of their incredible logistical skills. And Keith just was the most reliable member of our committee in terms of running around, basically filling all the gaps that we had and bringing his incredible institutional knowledge and energy to all of our events. But I think
Even cuts the grass of Shepherd Park if we have an
You
event.
can-
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I knew you cleaned up before the
He
event.
goes and cuts all of the grass.
He provides the water for
Yeah.
the water slide, literally the
Parks and
electricity as well as the
Yeah.
energy. But I think one
Even
of,
the bathrooms, but when Michael's overruled me this year,
That's right.
Yeah.
Move into that.
we'll do
Yeah,
it
we'll get
more-
to that.
yeah,
too.
we'll
That's
do
more
separate.
to help you than, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be nice to you.
So
go ahead, I'm sorry.
where we struggled
Yeah.
was really with communication.
Okay.
Because I think we were a committee with different ways of communicating,
Okay.
just, people who were there, people who weren't, were out of town,
Yeah.
then people who were online, some people who weren't online, and then just streamlining communication with distribution of flyers and things like that. So that's the reason for which I raise this question, is whether there are set roles, because I really think this is an opportunity to think about what works for this committee in terms of making sure that events function smoothly. And it's not always the same people who have to carry all the water in terms of getting things done, right? Because I think that's it's a little unfair that it's always the same folks who are cleaning up and distributing flyers. And there are a lot of us, and we're all in this because we want to help. So if we know ahead of time what our roles are, then I think all of us are willing to step up and do the work. And it gives us,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not clear on what the role, or is there a set role for the chair, vice chair, and secretary? So, but also was thinking in addition to this, but they don't have to be elected, in my opinion, that each event have a lead so that you get more engagement, and it doesn't mean other people can't be involved, obviously, but how do we, that's one other idea, but that's not an elected thing. So maybe
that's not an elected.
so maybe that's not, this is not the time to talk about that. Maybe it's when we start detailing events, but.
Oh, getting closer to like the logistics of the event. Yeah.
So the lead would be that person would make sure that the flyers get passed out to every street.
I wasn't thinking that because I think that's the street captains,
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
which is another agenda item, but we'll get there.
The roles, these unofficial roles, that's more for like just our meeting procedures. But in terms of your events, the chair does not have to actually run like the event. If someone is running point on that event and you all have that's fine. Yeah, that's totally fine.
So the two functions that have to happen is there has to be a chair for the individual meeting.
Yeah, just to run things.
Okay.
And then secondly, at Maryland Public Meeting.
Depend on you guys for the ideas.
The Maryland Public Meetings Act does require that someone take minutes.
Yeah.
And minutes are supposed
We
to be
fell
taken,
down on that one.
and they're supposed to be posted
Yeah.
after the fact. So the Open Meetings Act requires that certain things happen before a meeting, certain things happen during a meeting,
Right.
and certain things happen after a
Right,
meeting. So
Just a process.
one of the things after the meeting is the minutes need to be posted. And I post the recording, so that kind of counts.
Yeah.
But
Right.
also,
Right.
if there's any votes, you need to record who votes. You need to, sometimes the recording doesn't capture all that. So it doesn't need to be detailed. It can be very, very high level. But each of these meetings, someone needs to be taking notes.
And they can be high level notes.
And that can be.
And I like them, personally, I find them most helpful when it's, what are the action items? Who's responsible? Because otherwise,
Right.
we all forget.
Right,
Yep.
right.
But-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that could be the secretary could the secretary and the vice chair be the same? Or not necessarily?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
I just,
And then, like we said, some committees, rotate the responsibility of taking minutes, but that is really the only responsibility of the secretary position.
yeah.
So,
But yeah, if you want, you can craft the vice chair position, just the committee hasn't had one, I don't think. If you want the chair to run just the meeting, be the kind of master of ceremonies, and then the vice chair to be sort of the writing the minutes role, that's fine. That could be part of the role.
communicating out. I don't
So
know.
maybe just a chair and a vice chair for your meetings, okay?
I don't know. It's hard because we're only 4 people here and
Right.
those are 3 positions. And,
Yeah,
and I don't know that all of us
yeah.
want a position.
We're
so where are we?
missing Deborah, we're missing Paul and Mark, right?
Is that-
3
who else
people.
is-
that's it for
Yes.
7 people.
Mark,
Yeah,
Deborah.
Barbara. Barbara.
Oh, so-
Barbara.
Barbara, yeah, Barbara couldn't
Paul.
make it tonight. Paul was going to make it, but he,
Got stuck.
transit problems, yeah. And then, I think Mark, last minute
He couldn't
couldn't.
make the first date, but he couldn't make today. So.
And that's the other thing, that I guess we go to that, should we discuss that now or later? Well, you gotta get your committee and then I guess you do your schedule or, I guess, it's all related. Barbara can make Tuesdays and Thursdays, so she reached out to me. So maybe sketching out, if you do come up with your meeting schedule, keep that in mind for Barbara. If does Tuesdays and Thursdays work for most of you or?
Mhm.
And you could say the 4th Tuesday of the month or, something like that. And that makes it very easy on our staff and they can plug it in.
So last year they were more or less quarterly.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, this public versus not public meetings, but sticking with public ones, they were quarterly. I was proposing more often because I think if you want to have new ideas, if it's quarterly, you're really just sticking with your
Sure.
events.
Yeah.
But I don't know what other
I
people
was
think.
actually gonna propose, at least for the first couple, monthly until
Monthly?
yeah,
Okay.
and then we can lighten off from there, because
Mhm.
I actually like the idea of monthly.
Okay.
My only concern was if they're all public, which they can be, I don't want to burden you with having to be at a
Don't worry
meeting
about
every month.
That's not your job to worry about
Okay,
my time.
fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So I would go for
And it-
monthly.
I
It's
think,
okay because I can start to do the administrative functions that he does.
One of the reasons why we don't have video today is because we're transitioning to me not running these meetings.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You can always change it later on. right?
I totally agree with having more meetings at the beginning.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of work to be done at the beginning. This is essentially our fiscal year. It's an abbreviated fiscal year, right? We have, what, 9 months?
Mhm. And we went
And
through a
so I think that's where we want to put the most work
Mhm.
into determining what events we're thinking of,
Mhm.
because if that's going to impact the budget, and we need to make a proposal to the council, that's presumably something that we want to do early on rather than letting time slide.
Mhm.
So I think that, and I really love your idea of having like a lead person for, even if we have a chair, just having a lead person for every event, who can just help put together, make sure that the agenda is shaped, with some of the points that we need to discuss for every event. I think that would be very helpful.
So really, it's up to you all to who wants to take these roles and.
So how does it work? Do we take a vote? Do we want to go start with monthly and go more
Usually
often, or?
someone makes him, if we're gonna be official or
One person
fancy.
makes the motion and
Someone
then
makes the
someone
motion.
makes a second.
Yeah, someone makes a motion, or someone can nominate themselves, and if someone seconds, and then everybody.
So,
votes. That's
so
how-
we're electing committee position, not voting on how many meetings we have.
Well,
We
we
don't need
lost-
to do that. Right.
First, why don't we get the positions?
Yeah, let's do
Then
that.
we'll do the schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also think, just before we take any votes or anything, to just really, I think one of the topics that we kind of struggled with a little bit were agendas, because we didn't have the opportunity to discuss so much. Lots of people were in and out last year. So it was hard to discuss agendas as a group, because I think then that becomes part of it's not an administrative function.
Mhm.
It has to be open. And so I don't know if it's something that like the secretary and the chair could work on coordinating those agendas together, so it doesn't fall to just one person, and we can have more of that.
I would actually want to be even more open than that. I feel like when the notes go out, there's a call for,
Mhm.
at the end of that, maybe the end of every meeting, are there any items anyone wants on the agenda? And then
Yeah.
some way of having that go to everybody.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Spam, I'll get rid of spam.
I mean, I know for our council agendas, Michael puts them together and he circulates them to the council members. We all eye them, look at them, and we say, yes, or we'll make it, Michael, could I add this or make that? So we just kind of circulate it before we, make it official. So we do that too. So, I mean, it sounds like you just all want some more communication exchanges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm all for that. Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, what do you think is email working best for everybody? Or sometimes committees have done text exchanges?
So I wasn't on the committee, so I didn't
Yeah.
get any communication, so I don't know.
Okay, right.
Was
right.
there a regular email about agendas and other things?
We started out really strong and then we lost it. I mean, I'm going to be completely transparent. In my opinion, we lost it. So I think that's why I'm just putting all this on
Okay.
the table today. I think if we could, I don't know, what do you think, Michael? You were you had to pick up pieces.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to hear you feel like we lost it towards the end of the year. I try to keep this committee going as well as I can, so.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm saying you were
She's
it wasn't
saying-
your role.
Yeah. Internally,
That should be you.
You lost it, Michael.
You got
I mean, and that's the other thing, there was 5 people on the committee last year and there's 7 people on the committee this year. So it does turn into like herding cats. So the best idea I've heard so far today is picking one day. If you want to meet every month, that's great. Pick one day and stick to it. If it's the 3rd Tuesday, whatever it is,
That makes life easier.
that makes the life so easy for me. And then I can just put it on the calendar right now and I never have to think about it for the rest of the year. I can pre-schedule the emails. It's all good.
Yeah.
That's the easiest for me. And realistically, how it has worked with this committee is I write the agendas
Oh,
and I send it out to the committee when you all are scheduling when the meeting's going to be.
so you could do a call for agenda to this group.
Well, I really
Just
shouldn't
write
be
it,
doing
yeah.
that. I don't do
Right, okay,
that for
well,
any
then
of the other committees. I'm
So
only
the
doing it for
secretary,
this
or the
committee.
chair, or the vice chair could be doing that.
Absolutely.
Well, the other committees, they've been doing their own agendas.
Yeah, but as we should, I think.
And the only thing that I'm going to need from you all is I need the agenda a week before your scheduled meeting,
So he can.
so that I have time to post it online and review it and make sure that, it has the bare minimum requirements that are from the Open Meetings Act, all those types of things.
Well, I would like to make a suggestion,
Okay.
which is just in terms of meetings. I would love to suggest that we have a meeting in early November, immediately after the Halloween
Okay.
event, because I think,
Lot to decide.
there's a lot to decide. So during that meeting, my thought would be just to really just have an opportunity to just brainstorm and share. You're all going to have, all the new members are going to have a lot of new ideas to bring to the committee. So that would just be, I see that for initial meeting as a
So
brainstorming
focused on events.
meeting, just to talk about events that, apart from the usual ones that we do, what else, where is the energy and what do we have capacity for? And then just to kind of also spend a good chunk of time during that meeting, or we maybe have a separate one to talk about the 40th anniversary.
Okay. Well, if you go with Tuesday, that's election. I mean, I'm sure people are doing early voting, but that is election
tomorrow.
day. I don't know if that's a problem for anyone. So Tuesday, November.
Already.
We'll be all watching TV.
Yeah, let's just go the next week.
Exactly.
I think our
People are
energy
watching the-
is going to be.
Yeah.
On the-
Right. So,
Did we agree on Tuesday? Did we say Tuesdays, Thursdays,
Tuesdays or
Wednesdays?
Thursdays.
Well,
I know
Thursdays.
Mondays don't
And
work
we all
for
said
you.
it Tuesdays work for all of us, so.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know from Mark, but,
Tuesdays.
okay.
So you're looking at the 12th or the 14th. Both of those days are currently open on the calendar, as far as I know.
Is the 12th a Tuesday?
Yeah, is everyone okay with the 12?
Yep.
Just do 12.
Okay. All right.
We'll need to make sure the other 3 committee members, so don't write that in pen, maybe
Tentatively,
pencil.
in pen.
Pencil it in.
And
Well, I mean,
if I can make an additional, just suggestion,
Yeah.
is really for that meeting to open it up at the beginning for any residents that have ideas that they want to share. So just make a set time for that. And then just have just a closed meeting so that this committee can just work with that, with all the ideas that
Okay.
we may have heard.
Well, sure. So the committees, they also, as part of their agendas, set up a time for a resident comment section.
Yeah.
I know like the election committee has 2 resident comment sections, usually one at the top of the meeting, one at the bottom. I know that, I think when I was the liaison on the ethics, I think they had 1 comment section at the end. Depending on the council, this current council has 2 comment sections. Sometimes they've had you could comment as you go or on topics or just one. So that's also
So
part
it's a
of your,
public meeting, but the
Yeah,
comments don't go throughout, so you get derailed.
it's part of your
Yeah.
procedure. I mean, again, you can set the rules and the agenda and the tone of your meeting as committee members.
Yeah.
Susan, is that correct? Do you agree or do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I do agree. I think as we've all observed, it is really productive and efficient to set aside either 1 or 2
Mhm.
public comment periods so that you can conduct the business without interruption otherwise. So I think either way is fine. It's great I think either 1 or 2 is a wonderful option. I think it's preferable to do it that way.
Yes.
I totally agree.
I do too,
If
yeah.
residents are commenting throughout your meeting, it makes the meetings 10 times longer.
I've always thought we should just do public comments at the end, let the business.
But you all are going to be able to set your agenda for your next
Yeah.
meeting, for every meeting.
Yeah.
So if you want to put the comments.
Excuse me. Yeah, Michael, I'm sorry. I've had my hand up for a while here. This is Marty again. I really think that this committee thrives when it welcomes public input and, serves as sort of an organizing hub for the community. And the election committee has, in fact, last year and this year again, voted to have open meetings where not only do we have designated comment periods from residents at the beginning and the end, but we also, on each action item, specifically invite community input before we make a decision, so that we're not making a decision that cuts people out. And I think that's very important in terms of people feeling included and welcomed. So one of the things that I recommend in terms of organizing committees is that, as Yasmina was saying, you have action items on the agenda, and I think, Susan, you said that as well, but that you in fact allow residents to comment on each action item before you make your committee decision. Because if people just come in at the end and say, oh, I had this other idea, it's kind of too late. You already voted and made a decision.
We weren't
Marcy,
suggesting
I think
that.
that wasn't the suggestion. I think the suggestion is really to have that open time at the beginning before we even brainstorm, so that we can take any suggestions and thoughts into account but to just then have some time for the committee to do the work of the committee. And then we could definitely have some time at the end, before any proposals go to the council. If there were proposals, and most of the work we did last year, there weren't proposals to the council. It was really like deciding whether we were going to have this food truck or another food truck, so that we could open it up at the end. But it's really to create efficiencies for this committee.
Well, I don't want people feeling like you're not listening to them, because this is the fun committee, and it always has been, the way Keith has run it in the past. Very open, with people able to jump in as topics come up. And, it certainly needs to be organized, and you need to make decisions efficiently however you decide. But I'm just saying that this committee, of all the committees, certainly election committee needs community input, but so does this one. And so thank you for being more open to that. The other thing I wanted to suggest is that one of the roles that we haven't discussed, or you all haven't discussed, is the coordinator for the street captains.
That's
And I don't know whose job that is. Last year, Paul McGowan was our coordinator.
That's not on the agenda.
Marty, I'm going to interrupt you now. This is not public comment period, and we're way off topic. That the street captains is going to come up later. I'm
Okay,
sure of it.
I'll wait. Thank you.
Right now, we're trying to elect positions to the
I'll
committee.
sit back and wait. Thank you.
But if we're going to have this next meeting on event, it's going to be exclusively on the calendar of events. Is that correct? I don't know that an hour, I mean, part of me feels like make it up to an hour and a half. If our goal is to agree and brainstorm and put enough to go to the council, that's not an easy task.
Another point for order. It sounds like what we're suggesting here, and the suggestion is to move bullet point 5 in the agenda today
Yes,
to next meeting,
correct.
which makes sense today because we're already 45 minutes into this meeting and we haven't elected positions
Yep.
yet.
Yep.
And I was hoping to be out of here in an hour. So let's get this moving. Who is the chair? Do we have a motion?
Is anyone interested in being the chair? Are you interested still?
I look at it this way. I've been the chair for the since 2019. And, if you're driving for first towns, why change the game plan?
Sure it is.
Was that a
All right,
motion?
so Keith, have you made a motion to be chair? Does anyone second it? David, you?
I will second the motion for Keith to be
Okay, all
chair.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so that's.
Congratulations.
Four votes for
you.
Keith.
Thank you.
And Keith, thank you. You are a gem to
I'm
the
honored.
community.
I'm honored.
Is chair emeritus.
I promise you, I'll do a great job for you.
Okay, thank you. And now,
Does this committee want to have a vice chair? Maybe someone that can help with the communications piece,
Yeah,
or
I think that would be very helpful.
I was gonna offer to be
David,
secretary or
Since
something.
he's new here, or maybe it'd be good for David.
So do we want to have two positions, a secretary and a vice chair, or do we want to have one position? It depends who has
I think
one.
one position, and then we can rotate taking minutes so that it's fair for everyone. Does that seem,
That's fine.
or
Yeah.
does somebody particularly want to do minutes?
I don't think anybody wants to do minutes.
Exactly.
I was gonna volunteer to be secretary, but it's fine if we just want to do a vice chair and then rotate the
would you like
minutes.
to do the
thing.
minutes for this evening? How about he does the minutes
It's
for
really,
this evening?
it's really hard when you tell them at the end.
All right.
Recording, right?
So you're vice chair.
Susan, would you be interested in being vice chair?
No, I'm happy to lead a few of the new activities if we actually come up with them. And I have two other agenda items that I want to discuss at a future meeting, but I think we don't have time today. And it sounds like more important is the events. So whoever's
So
taking notes for future agenda items, I'd like to discuss two of the ones I've already brought up. Listserv, you brought up listserv, and
but we need to finalize. Did we do the vice chair thing?
Would you like to be vice chair,
I
David?
thought I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I think we all
so I
agree.
nominate
We'll
myself to be
agree.
vice chair.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, David.
So I'll
Thank
be vice
you.
chair. All right, awesome.
And so vice chair, you'll be comfortable taking the notes for the meeting? So we're
Sure.
morphing you as
And
a
then-
vice chair / secretary.
Yeah.
And you
Fine,
can distribute tasks as well. Don't feel
That's
like you
fine.
have to carry it all.
I'll do the first
And it
meeting.
sounds like your committee has also decided to have leads on events too. So just because you're chair and vice chair for the meetings, that doesn't necessarily mean the chair and vice chair have to run every event, or you all have a say. It's all open and
I've been used to always letting everyone else make
Yes.
the decisions. That's the
Yeah.
best way I think that it works for
he's
me.
just like on the scene reporter because he's next to two of the major events. He lives right there. So he's there. He's always ready to help. But
I'm,
yeah,
my main thing, as Katie knows, I just want to roll up my sleeves and
Yes.
work.
he does.
Okay, so are we ready to move on to agenda item 5 then? I mean, 4,
Or,
excuse me.
yeah.
So I know you really want us to get to that one because it's coming up.
I thought that was going to be the chunk of this meeting.
Yeah,
But before, maybe, do you want me to bring up my future ideas for agendas? Because I want to make sure they get logged somewhere. But
I thought that
events are
was-
more important.
I thought that was what we're going to do the next meeting. For
Mm,
Oh,
future-
No,
that's
I think-
planned events. That's
Planned
number
events.
5 on the,
Okay. Which
well-
sounds like that's the
Well,
primary.
but
agenda.
I think, but we're moving we're moving number 5 and we're adding any new events to next meeting.
Correct. But my
So
two
you-
other items that I want discussed,
Do you want to share what they are, the topics?
I can do it at public comments.
Okay,
If
let's
that
do
will
it.
allow you to keep it to your agenda. That's
Okay,
totally
that's
fine.
it. Let's do that. Okay, all right. So David, you got that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So yes, Michael, actually Keith, if you're chairing the agenda, you have your agenda. We're on number 4. I'm gonna zip my mouth now. I'm not
You're doing
running.
fine. You're doing just fine.
It's your show. All right.
No, this is a very exciting time. It's going to take place here in just a few days, Sunday, our Halloween party, and the children just look forward to this so much. This is
Great
great.
event.
This is what it's all about here in Martin's Additions. So Michael's got everything set and ready to go. He's got the vendors ready and the porta potties ready.
Mhm.
And I've scheduled the fire department to be here at 5 o'clock to lead the parade. So we're really on top of this thing.
So I have street captains handing out flyers this week. If you are a street captain and haven't handed out flyers, or if you know us, if you haven't received a flyer from your street captain, it's a good opportunity to remind them.
Yes.
I'll hand around the flyers just in case you haven't seen them.
And hands them off.
She's covered.
So that's good. We're announcing it several times. It's been in the newsletter and the wrap ups, and we'll send out 2 standalone, emails reminding people to come. I have a list of vendors, including the Roaming Rooster food truck, which is always our most popular food truck. We have a new ice cream truck that we stole from Section 3 that they seem to really like. That's Fresh Associates. They seem to have a really good assortment, and they're actually cheaper than our old ice cream company. So we're excited to try them out. And if they don't work, we can always change it in the future. But that's new. We have the DJ that we've liked coming back, the same DJ we've used before. Face painting and balloon twisting will be there. We're ordering pizzas. We did that last year, and it really helped, especially because there's some long lines
Yeah.
that form at the food trucks.
Absolutely.
So just having some pizza for kids to run at. We have a grand event, which is the name of a company setting up chairs, big tents, tables, everything for us. So I'm trying to do as little as possible myself. Even buying drinks myself and logging the coolers down there and dumping ice down the drains and stuff, I'm not doing anymore. That's the council's kind of give me a green light on that to take a step back on some of my work. So I've actually, I added on to the Roaming Rooster food truck to bring over 300 drinks
Oh, great.
and have coolers set out or whatever,
Great.
however they said that.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic.
for a minimal cost, that made
Yeah.
the workload a lot easier on staff. So that's really good. We have ordered 100 pumpkins. We did this for the first time last year and did a little painting booth. And some arts and crafts stuff. If you have stickers, you want to put on pumpkins, whatever.
It
There's
was
tips.
very popular. last year.
Decorating.
And you can take the pumpkin home or you can leave
Yeah.
it there and then the squirrels eat them. So up to you.
Oh, I'm having that problem. I've never had, you know, there's an abundance of acorns this year,
Well,
which has nothing to do with how the winter's gonna turn out, by the way. That's all folklore. But the squirrels, I've never seen so many squirrels because of those nuts.
yep,
And
They're eating my
unfortunately, a
pumpkins.
lot of roadkill as far as the squirrels are concerned.
yeah,
But I've never had a problem like this year.
yeah.
I mean, I've had a pumpkin from September until December
Mhm.
in past
Yeah.
years.
Same.
This year, the first pumpkin was totally destroyed and eaten by the squirrel.
Oh,
I got a new pumpkin the other day
yeah.
and he's halfway through that already.
Yeah.
So,
All right, moving on.
Because
The
one's got
pumpkins
there.
are popular with the squirrels and with the children. And the adults too. We can have some painting contest or something. And then we have secured the permit, just so you all understand, we have to, if we're on the park field itself, they rent out the field portion of it. So we get a permit. We've done that. And as Keith alluded to, we've had some issues in the past, from my perspective, with vendors needing to use the bathroom or children needing to use the bathroom. And sending them all the way back to the village office, which means I have to leave the village office unlocked, or sending them into Keith's house where there's a cat that we're worried about the cat running away.
Right.
So what we've done is we've ordered a porta potty, ADA accessible porta potty, and a hand washing station that'll be there. So that's we're trying it again. If it doesn't work, we can adjust going forward, but we're gonna give it a try. So that's all coming. I have created a sign-up form for volunteers to fill up different day of activities. I've created 3 different jobs for you all, and you all can choose who does what, or if you want to adjust it, that's up to you all, of course. But from 2:30 to 3:30, I would really like there to be people there to welcome people, answer questions, start the conversations, be social. Sometimes it's a little awkward in the beginning when a couple people show up and the food vendors aren't quite ready and people show up early. So the event starts at 3. So if 3 people or 2 people can be there, 30 minutes early to kind of welcome people, I think that's really helpful. And that's, again, takes it off of, I sometimes in public events, I get bombarded and people are talking to me about issues that have nothing to do with the event. So I would kind of like to be able to take those issues offline or kind of stand in the back and let you all kind of lead the event. This is your committee, so you all be the front face of it. The second thing from 3:30 to 5 is organizing the activities. So I mentioned the pumpkin painting, and then also at 5 we start off a parade. So getting people set up, telling the DJs, telling people where to go. I have 2 people for each of these positions. So that's the second job. I'm kind of in the middle of the event, who's organizing the painting of pumpkins, who's telling people what to do next, all of that kind of stuff. And then 3 is cleanup duty. From 5, as soon as the parade starts, we can start cleaning up because all the people leave. So at 5 to 6, this shouldn't just fall to Keith. This is one that does just fall to Keith. And it's great. Keith is amazing and walks around and picks everything up afterwards. And I've been out there with flashlights trying to help clean stuff up in the dark. It won't be dark yet, so we'll be fine on this one.
Especially for the Halloween event, there's a lot of cleanup.
There's a lot of cleanup. If someone lives close and can wheel their extra trash can down, that's great because the park trash can fills up. And I like to leave things better than we found it. So Keith fills up his trash can, and then sometimes we need a 3rd trash can. So if we can get 2 people to commit to being kind of the lead of cleanup, I think that's really good. And I really want only one of each of you to pick one of these 3. Keith, you can't do all 3. I'm sorry, you got to pick one.
And I'm unfortunately,
Can I also
I'm
add,
not even here.
during the parade last year, I had a little bit of a concern because what we did for the first time last year is there was a request to extend the parade a little bit. So the kids came up Turner, and then they turn the corner and they go up Shepherd, and then They go up Brookville and then they go down Shepherd and then they run across the park, which wherever, that's great, or they go home. The dangerous part, in my view, was really when they were walking up Brookville, because there's a lot of kids at once, and then it was, on the weekend, there's a lot of traffic coming down Brookville. So will a police agent be there? And then could we have like a volunteer, like with a yellow jacket, just who's kind of stationed, or 2 volunteers on Brookville to just make sure that we're slowing traffic down and,
I'd like to address that. First of all, we're not going to go on Brookville this year. We've decided what we're going to do is go behind the stores, go down Taylor to Chestnut Street, left on Chestnut, down to Thornapple, right on Thornapple, down to Dellfield, right on Dellfield to Taylor, right on Taylor, back behind the stores and back down Turner.
that's a long way for little kids.
Or we can cut that short, but last year, and we had the police department leading the parade last year.
Right, they were right at the front, but so people took a while joining the parade, and then the end was just kind of a free-for-all. That's why I was concerned about last year.
I would recommend not going quite as long as Keith did, but not going down Brookville either. We tried that last year. That was the first time I understand that you all tried that with the parade, and it didn't seem to work, even with the police officer there. I haven't gotten confirmation that the police officers will be able to be here either. Though the fire department should be here leading the way for the parade. I would recommend you all just go down Turner, circle the market, and then go back down Taylor to the park. And keep it really short. And avoid
Go back down Taylor to the park.
Oh, come up,
back down Turner.
go in front of the shops, go and back, like just do this. loop.
Okay, so just
Use
do
this
the
as a
loop
loop.
at the shops.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And then back
Okay.
right back
That's
to
a
the
great
park.
idea.
And
Nice and simple.
we
That
can
works.
position people
That
to
works.
direct.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, I was the candy lady. So like, if you wanted to have a piece of candy, you had to come all the way up and go all the way back so that you could circle. But sometimes there's confusion and people just like take off and think it's been, yeah.
Yeah.
We want to clear, like, this is a parade route and you want to go back. So we could station just people.
That
like,
would be
around.
good.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to have
keep
different
going.
people with candy.
Check off
Yes.
Because then you can get,
Yes. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Go to your
A
next
chocolate
candy
stop,
state.
a non-peanut stop,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lollipop stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Go ahead.
Make sure the DJ has a PA system.
He will, yes.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Microphone. The other thing
That's
is,
most important.
we want to try to get law enforcement, at least one of them. It was just Mike last year. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll try.
Have them standing by here and helping us out. And we'll have that and the fire department. And
That sounds great.
that's a good idea to go around, just around the back there and loop back around, go back down.
Keep it short, keep it simple, and don't go on Brookville Road. It's just too much to manage with that many kids. I agree. That's a valid concern.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe what we could do is also let Joe and the Latinas and the
Right,
and
cleaners will be
the
open.
haircut.
there you
Oh,
The
go.
only place that's open is barber shop.
The barber shop. Right, just let them know that we're gonna go by. They might want to just to let them know. They might get a kick out of it. And then we can do that little,
I don't think Joe is open by the time of the parade.
Oh, yeah.
right, because he closes at 3.
And they shut down at 4 o'clock that Lena does at the barber shop.
Okay.
So my worry is
I've
you
invited
need a
Lena,
lot.
and I always invite the merchants to come.
You do, you're so good at that.
I named 3 positions, so I would really like everyone that's planning to be there on Sunday to sign up for one of those positions. If you're on this committee, I would expect you to take one. So does anyone want to speak up now? Like which, I'll write down your name if you pick one of those 3 responsibilities. And then I'll also reach out to the other committee members that aren't here and ask
Where do
them.
you want me, Mike? What do you want me to do?
Probably the welcoming, right?
Okay. Put me down for that.
Keith says welcoming.
meet and
Okay.
greet.
We got one welcomer.
And I've got a jacket that I wear, a volunteer jacket. I've been wearing that since the days of James Gaston. And I, have a name tag on there and everything.
Oh, perfect.
Most people know me anyway, because they
Everyone knows
walk their
you.
dogs and go up and down. And
Yeah.
as long as I've been here and doing this thing, well, they should know who I am.
Okay. Anyone
Even
interested?
though I'm masked up most of the time these days anyway with the double masking, and that's just not for Halloween.
Just,
That's okay.
you can, you can assign me to wherever's open. I don't care.
Any preference?
I'm not here.
Oh, you're not.
And
gonna
I'm
be
not here either.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll ask what the other committee members are planning to do.
Could use your help organizing.
David, you won't be here for that?
It looks like.
That's a good one, actually.
You'll miss a lot of fun.
I know, I was there last year.
And how old are your children?
Supervising,
She's
like,
turning 2 tomorrow, actually.
Oh, he would be just about the age to really appreciate
That,
it.
and that, you know.
They enjoy it all the way till 16.
Yeah.
My
The
first.
parade too.
Enjoy it after, they just don't admit it.
All J student, and they had a face paint.
You're amazing.
Trying to do the parade, you know.
My
the
face painted
DJ
last year, too.
Everybody-
Well, I know, but actually leading the parade and
No.
leading them back and that's.
What if we made the council members lead the parade?
There you go.
I would also, if those.
I'm going to do Andrew and Jeff for that.
You'll be in costume for sure, right, Katie?
I will be in costume.
Yeah,
Susan, will you be there? Would you like to lead the parade? Should we have the council lead the parade?
I think it's a good way. of
And I'd
putting it.
also like to say, Susan always stays behind at the
And
end
always
of
does, that's right.
every event
Well,
to
the
help
only-
clean up.
The only people from the
And-
council that ever show up down there really is Katie and Susan.
Katie and Susan, so if there's any council members who want to help in solidarity with Susan, who always
Oh, yeah.
is the one who stays, and you don't need to do it,
And
Susan.
I'll be there.
That's
and
very
I'll-
kind, Yasmina.
Okay, so
That is an
is there
idea.
anything else that we haven't talked about? We're gonna make sure the pumpkins that are there, we're gonna make sure that we have some art supplies for the pumpkins. We're gonna make sure we have some bags of candy. Is there anything else that we haven't mentioned? Okay, then that's it. We
Well,
did-
wait a minute, Marty wants to come back in.
Oh, well, let's,
On the Halloween parade,
on
on the
We want to
Halloween.
hear from Marty.
so we're done with 4. We've decided to move item 5 to the next. And then I guess we're on the public
Oh,
comment.
yeah,
If your committee decide to move that,
as long as they're in accord with that.
okay. So I think you all were gonna do your public comments
Yeah,
next.
so I had just a
And then Marty,
couple,
okay.
and I think, is Marty the only person online?
She's
She's the only resident, yes.
Okay, so there was 2 items that I really wanted us to take on as a committee. It sounds like events are going to take precedent because clearly we need to plan events. But I was hoping the committee would consider taking on, and obviously that requires a discussion, the getting the listserv out, happening. And I know, Marty, you've been working on that, so clearly you would need to be part of that discussion. And the second one was how to revitalize or improve or vitalize the street captains. So like, what's the role? How are they organized? And I don't know if Paul wants to stay lead on that. It's fine if he does, but I think we need a group to think about how we could
I
do
can
that.
take that over where I can personally call the people.
But-
And
I think it's a bigger discussion. I think we
maybe
want an
guys
agenda
that
item.
way.
Oh, for the next meeting, you
Well,
want?
I don't think we want to talk about it now. I don't think we have
Okay.
time.
Okay.
And I don't think we can talk about it
Okay.
next meeting because we've got to talk events. But I would like to propose it as a agenda item
Okay.
for the meeting after that, because I think it needs a little bit of discussion. And it would be good if Paul were here.
Always Paul.
Okay, so 2 agenda items for
For the-
future meetings.
For the meeting, and it sounds like it's going to be December, maybe it's end of November if we decide we need an in-between meeting. I don't know.
Sounds like, yeah, November 12th, definitely, and you already have some agenda items, so you're ahead of the game.
Well, November 12th, we have, is only going to be events, right? We're not talking about these other 2
Yeah, the
things.
street captain discussion we can have on, at the next meeting, so.
That'd be
I think-
December.
I think as a group, we can probably be more efficient and maybe discuss both. I think,
We could try.
yeah.
I don't think I think the events is going to be a long.
And also, I just want to say, for public meetings, there's a requirement to organize it and stuff. That's only for advisory stuff that's going, to the council as a recommendation or something. So the events definitely needs to be a public meeting
Mhm.
because there's probably going to be a recommendation that comes out of that. But if you're just doing administrative stuff, like planning a different meeting or, hey, who's calling all the street captains to organize them? That can happen in an administrative meeting, which does not require, you don't even need.
So
to
we
tell
could
me
have
that's
an
happening.
administrative meeting on street captains. What's their role? Define
Sure,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who's responsible?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's a separate meeting
Later.
that we have later in November.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Okay.
I think the listserv is probably a little more complicated.
And that probably needs to be a public meeting.
Definitely needs to be a
Yes, so
public
that's
meeting,
maybe
because a
December.
lot of residents will want to comment on that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Are there any other public comments?
Yeah, Marty has a.
Marty?
Yes, thank you. I have a list here because you've been discussing a lot of things. Let's go back to the Halloween party, which sounds wonderful. I love the fact that you've got tables and chairs and a porta potty. And my recommendation there is to please slow down the march. Last year, I was sort of along the march route, kind of just trying to help as I could, unofficially. And the little toddlers got left behind. There were gaps when you do a march, whether you're doing down Independence Avenue at the Capitol or Martin's Additions. You want the front of the march to be slow enough so that the little 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds don't get left behind. We ended up with a bunch of 8 and 9-year-olds, high energy up at the front of the march, and then a gap, and then another gap. And that made it more dangerous when folks went up to Brookville Road because it was just a crowd of kids at the end. So, Keith, I think you've got the fire folks or whoever's leading the march, the parade, to please slow it down. Think of the pace a 3-year-old walks. And so just keep that in mind. Don't speed up at any point. I like the route not going on Brookville Road at all, just looping around the shops and coming back. I think that's much safer. And thank you for doing that. I think, and Michael, it sounds like you and Aaron have got everything organized here. I can't wait to come. If you need me to sign up for one of these slots that you have, go ahead and put me in whatever one you want. Let me know. Susan, I want to come back to 2 things that you've mentioned because I agree completely with both of them. I've been trying for months and months to get the listserv, a new listserv organized. The old listserv appears to be not fixable, and we have a lot of new residents who can't join it. I can't post anything on it, and I've been here 40 years. It really does need to change, and I've been talking to Gene Sperling about that. I think that one of the ways to approach that is to have the CEC set up a little subgroup that just tackles the listserv. There are a number of technical issues on it. We do not want the village council or staff running it. It's supposed to be a residents listserv, and the council has been very clear about that in the past. But I think we need a dedicated group of 4 or 5 people. And Susan, I know you're one of the people who I've talked to about that. And
Yeah, last February. So I think I totally agree with you. We need a subcommittee and we need you to download everything you've done. I don't know if we want to decide on that now or we want to do it at a later meeting. But I totally agree with you, Marty.
Thank you
Which is why
very
I
much.
brought it to the agenda.
Yep, I've been so frustrated with not being able to get that to move forward, and it's just,
I know.
so thank you very much.
So maybe we just set up a subcommittee. I don't know if we need a separate meeting to do that.
And
But
I would second a proposal to get this committee to create a subgroup to focus on the listserv.
do we want to just do it or do we have to? This is where I don't know procedures.
I think you can vote to set it up tonight, and I'll volunteer to serve on it.
Let's maybe we pause that for a second.
I
It
don't
sounds
think
like-
that's
yeah.
true. I don't think this committee has the ability to create subcommittees. That it's the function of the council to set up committees. If it's
It's
some,
not a committee. It's just
Group of people to move
it's
A
something
working group, a working group.
that would bring of this committee
We're not.
that which would with residents' input put together a proposal for a listserv but it wouldn't. It's
I
not a
think this is
committee.
probably a question we should ask
Because
the
if it's a
council.
committee, it becomes a job of, and this, I think residents have been very clear that they don't want it to become a function of the council. So that's the issue.
This committee is a function of. the
And I
council.
don't feel strongly about that. I'm just going to be very
We're just
transparent.
trying to
but
get
there
this
are
thing going.
residents who feel very strongly about the listserv being a function of the council and the council deciding, what that structure for the.
I'm on your
listserv
side.
will be.
I also want a functioning listserv. That way I don't have to post everything. So I'm totally on your side, but the council has kind of indicated that they don't want their committees focusing
can
on
we
this,
do?
running this. So I think this
So
needs
how
to
can
go
we
to
make
the
this
council
work?
as a whole.
Yes.
So Susan and Kay, how can we make this work?
First, yeah, you have to address the council as a whole, and that's 5 different members. So, there's 5 different voices. So, I would say at the next council meeting, and when it comes time to do your committee report, suggest it and bring it up then, because then you'll have all the council members there. That would be the
Or
first
as an
step.
alternative, that whoever on this committee wants to help kick off move the listserv forward, Marty joins that group and we just do it. Is that a better way to go? Because I feel like we've run into this problem for like a whole year of
Well,
like.
it's been seven years of
It's
this,
been longer than
and
that.
it's come up
Not to
with the
belabor the point,
council.
but anybody, so it can't be it can't be connected to the village. We all know that. So anybody here could just start a Google listserv
Yes.
tonight
Yeah.
Right.
and just be done. It's
Yeah.
completely hands off.
Just
I can do it in 10 minutes when I get home. So I'm not quite sure what the issue is.
Nothing's happened.
Google won't.
She's been trying to.
Katie,
I got it. Yeah, I'll start it tomorrow.
But I think there's some history that we need to address about what the rules of it gonna be and all that, and who's
Yeah.
administrator.
If it's not, so again, so
Right.
if it's not, the village isn't sponsoring it, then the rules or whatever the individual sets up. Now we can have, I hope whoever sets it up, just be like hands off, like, listen, it can't be monitored, like it's gonna be what it is, and the only people who can participate are the village folks.
Exactly.
but yeah.
It's for the people,
Yeah,
by the
for the
people.
people.
Keith, did you have something to say? And I do want to get
Question,
Susan to speak.
because there was a
Susan.
gentleman, I've never been on the listserv, but
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what is there that's so difficult about starting this up? I
Okay.
think there was a gentleman by the name of Bill
Yes,
Leibovich.
all right. I'll
Yeah.
talk-
I can speak to this if you would like.
Take this up now.
So
Well,
let's not-
maybe we can
No.
make this a
We
separate.
can make it a separate issue.
Separate discussion.
But, I would just say this about that, I hear you, I understand. It's basically an antiquated, system, and that people can't get on, and yet they feel that they're not being heard, and it's not like no one is trying to keep people off. It's at capacity, and it's being run by one resident right now. I wouldn't even say she's running it. She's just posting for people.
And the old
on it.
lister.
Google
And-
announced that they weren't hosting any groups anymore as of a few
So-
years ago, and we've never migrated to a new platform. That's all,
So-
and then we need to do that.
That's part of the delay, because the IO platform looks like it might be better than the Google Groups platform. And what we need is a group of people to actually put it together. It's not hard to start a listserv. It is hard to set the rules. One of the things we've talked about informally over the last year, trying to get this done, is that we do want to have basically unmonitored. You need 2 moderators on it just to sort of keep an eye on it. But what we would do is simply put in filters for bad words, like racist.
So
language.
Marty, rather than getting in the weeds on this, I'm going to make a proposal. Sounds like it's not a council decision, but we have 3 members of the community engagement decision. We're going to take it away from the council. We have 3 members of this committee that are motivated to help make this happen. Why don't we set up a separate meeting with you and Jane? It sounds like, right, as
Bingo.
residents,
That
and get
works.
this going and move it away from here.
Thank you very much.
And
Yay,
Susan, Zach,
team.
do you want
Let
to
me know
weigh
when
in
you
on
want to
that,
do
or-
it.
Okay.
The second thing I want to bring up is your point about the street captains and their roles.
We're gonna have
And
a-
I would ask you not to have that be a closed meeting of just the committee, but to invite the street captains themselves to be there, to have input and how
I
they see their
agree,
roles.
but I think we have to have a pre-meeting of the committee to figure out what we want. And then obviously that needs input from the street captains on whatever we're proposing. I think we're on the
Okay.
same page with that, but I think we have to figure out what's been working, what hasn't amongst the committee, and then we'll have I don't know, it's an open meeting. It's open meeting with all the street captains, but
Yeah,
totally agree with
just-
you on that too.
Okay, thank you on both points.
Thank
That's
you,
it for me
Marty.
for now.
I want to personally thank David for coming forward to help us here. And so far, he's come up with some really good ideas, and we
I
really
love
appreciate him
the
being here
idea.
with us.
Yeah.
And you too, Susan. And Yasmina, you're the best.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Katie, for being here to help us out with this.
Is that a motion to adjourn, Keith?
Yes,
Yes,
that
it
sounds
is.
like it.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.